Headliner Nation, what's going on? Welcome back to the Fantasy Headliners. Kyle coming to you with our top 20 quarterback and tight end rankings for week 14 here of the NFL season. It's playoff time, baby. If you're in the playoffs fighting towards a championship, congratulations on a successful season so far. Can't stop here, though. Got to get ourselves a big dub this week and continue the march to the championship. Maybe you got a bye this week. If you got a bye, congratulations on an even more successful season. Getting yourself a nice bye. Get to relax a little bit this week, but appreciate you still tuning in here to the channel and checking out all the information as you take a little bit of a siesta from fantasy football in week 14. Don't forget, though, Saturday nights live here on YouTube, the Fantasy Headliners. Make sure that you tune in and check out our live show. We'll be answering a lot of start and sit questions. We'll be letting it flow, talking about life, having a great time. Don't forget to tune in and do that. But without further ado, let's talk about who we've got in our rankings for week 14 for quarterbacks and tight ends. All right, jumping into those quarterbacks first, Lamar Jackson at number 1. I know he's playing Buffalo. I know it's a tough matchup. I don't care. Lamar Jackson isn't your typical quarterback. Lamar Jackson can beat you in so many different ways. This guy, he's at the top of the rankings every single week right now. Basically, it's like Patrick Mahomes last season. Patrick Mahomes was your basically default quarterback one in the rankings almost every single week. Lamar Jackson has been and will continue to be basically the same exact way this season. He has just way too much upside on the ground and in the air. So even if he gets limited through the air a little bit, can still beat you on the ground. Got to have him up there at the top. Aaron Rodgers coming in at number 2 against Washington. One thing I'll say about this game, the run game for Green Bay hasn't been great. Aaron Jones hasn't looked good. Jamal Williams getting a little bit more share here and there. Is he going to make a bigger impact? What's going to happen? I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have to throw the ball a lot this week. Deshaun Watson coming in at number 3. Definitely love me some Deshaun Watson this week. He gets Denver. Denver has struggled a little bit more against the quarterback as of recently, so I think Deshaun Watson can still have a really good game for you this week. Patrick Mahomes now coming in at number 4. Now we got Patrick Mahomes here. Just a few spots down. Again, it's at New England, so maybe they're going to be coming for a little bit after, I don't want to say they got embarrassed last week, but Houston did put it to them pretty good. So with that being said, at home in Foxborough, they're going to want to get back on that horse, get back to playing really good defense. That's why I've got Patrick Mahomes just a little bit lower than those other guys. Russell Wilson coming in at number 5. The MVP candidate continues to be really good week in and week out. Kirk Cousins coming in at number 6. Well, if he's playing the Detroit Lions like he is, well, you got to put him up towards the top. Detroit just gives up way too many points to the opposing quarterback, 8th most, and they got lit up by Mitchell Trubisky last week, and he lit up the Cowboys too. So I don't know what that's worse. I don't know if that's worse about the Cowboys or better about the Lions there. If you're a Cowboys fan, it's probably neither. Carson Wentz coming in at number 7. We're going to roll with him. Haven't loved him as of late. Did have him a little bit higher in the rankings last week than what I have had previously. I'll be willing to roll with him again against the New York Giants on Monday Night Football this week. Feeling good about it. Jameis Winston at number 8. I continue to say it. The dude is going to be a headache. If he's in your fantasy lineup for any particular week, you don't watch the game because it's just going to give you high blood pressure. Don't even worry about it. But Jameis Winston gets so much volume. He could easily toss 3 touchdowns between 300 and 400 yards. And he's golden. He's going to give you a lot of volume. Ryan Tannehill coming in at number 9. Love him and the Jonnu Smith combination this week. Really feeling it going against Oakland. Tannehill, again, the quarterback 6 since taking over as the starter in week 6. He's averaging over 21 fantasy points per game since then. And Oakland is giving up the 4th most fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks right now. Sam Darnold, I've got him at number 10. Ryan Fitzpatrick, just a couple of spots behind him at number 12. I definitely think this could be one of those games where it's just a whole lot of back and forth. Ryan Fitzpatrick has a whole lot of upside. Sam Darnold against Miami has a whole lot of upside. It's either going to be really bad or really good for these quarterbacks. There's not going to be any in between. Either you're going to love their performance on Sunday or you're going to hate it. But both of these guys have so much upside this week definitely viable streaming options if you want to play him over somebody else, like a Matt Ryan. If you've been riding him and you don't feel comfortable this week, I've got both of those guys over Ryan. Before we go any further, though, got to take one step back to number 11 for Josh Allen. Again, a tough matchup this week against the Baltimore Ravens, but I'm still going to run Josh Allen out there. Yes, I've got him just a little bit lower, just a tad bit lower. But again, because I think he has, with his rushing ability, like Lamar Jackson has been a beast in his own right all season long. Josh Allen's been very good, but he hasn't been Lamar Jackson. So I've heard a couple of people try to compare those two. Please don't do that. Okay, they're not the same player. Josh Allen's been really good this season, though. Okay, didn't like him in the draft. I've ate those words. I've said the guy is progressing at a rate that I did not see coming. He's getting better and better. This is me giving Josh Allen some props, which if you're watching this recording, keep it handy because I won't ever say it again. No, I'm kidding. He's been doing a lot better, though. Definitely has my respect, been playing very well. But again, tough matchup. Don't see as a highest ceiling because even though he does do a lot of good things on the ground, he doesn't have as much volume or capacity on the ground as what Lamar Jackson has. That's why there's a little bit of a difference there in case you were wondering. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I already talked about him a second ago. Matt Ryan at 13. Don't love Matt Ryan this week. Don't love him. If I'm in a pinch and I want to roll with him, I think you could find worse options, 100%. But I will be willing to roll with him. He just hasn't looked the same since his injury. Just hasn't looked the same. Last week wasn't awful. He is still a start for me this week, however. But he has over 270 yards in 3 of his last 4. He does have more than 30 attempts over his last 4 games, and he has 46 attempts and 50 attempts over the last 2 games. So definitely a lot of upside potential. Playing against Carolina, is Carolina going to be reeling a little bit after firing Ron Rivera? Are they going to be okay? Are they going to go into Atlanta and be able to hold their own? That's why I'm a little bit hesitant on Matt Ryan this week. But at number 14, my boy Devlin Duck Hodges at number 14. I'm willing to roll with him this week. I'm feeling Hodges this week. A really good streaming option, in my opinion. I have absolutely no problem running him out there if I need to. Was not bad at all last week. Was not bad at all. Definitely interested in him this week as well, going up against Arizona, who give up the most fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. It's hard not to look at him and think he has some sort of decent ceiling this week. Jacoby Brissett at 15. Jacoby Brissett, again, at Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay a couple of weeks ago was all over Matt Ryan. Defense has either given up a lot of big plays or all of a sudden out of nowhere has like a decent game every once in a while. Not sure why that is. Definitely a lot of upside. I just like the upside of Hodges a little bit more. And I like Matt Ryan being a little bit safer because of his volume that he's been getting over Jacoby Brissett. Marlon Mack is back this week, it looks like. So Mack will be there. Jonathan Williams obviously has been playing a little bit more. Jordan Wilkins got the lion's share of the carries last week. Nyheim Hines. So maybe they try to rely on those guys a little bit more. Kyler Murray coming in at number 16. I'm being careful with him against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's been pretty good against quarterbacks, especially at home this season. So even though I have him as a start, still being careful with him. Tom Brady coming in at number 17 against Kansas City. There's a potential again for volume. Basically like what happened last week against the Houston Texans could end up happening again this week where, yes, it's not a great game. However, Kansas City out in front, plays ahead of New England a little bit. If that happens, then Tom Brady's going to have to throw. Even though Kansas City has been better in the secondary this year, again, if that volume adds up, that's what ended up making Tom Brady a miss for me last week, is because the volume just added up so quickly at the end of that game. Baker Mayfield coming in at number 18. I've got him and Andy Dalton right there, back to back. Definitely think there's a lot of upside, but I think the floor is really low for these guys as well, just because of how different the variance has been all season long with them. And at number 19, Drew Lock. I've got him as a start this week. He played well last week. Houston's allowed the 6th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks this year, so definitely a lot of opportunities for him coming up this week as well. If you're looking for a streamer, 2 quarterback league, super flex league, something like that, hey, you could do a lot worse than Drew Lock. Moving on over the tight ends now, the top 20 tight ends for week 14. Zach Ertz, he's going to come in at number 1 for me. Again, going up against the New York Giants. They're getting a little bit more healthy right now. So Dallas Goedert, I've got a little bit lower, and I'll talk about him in a minute. But Zach Ertz still playing much better than what he had been. A lot of people were disappointed with him, but he's playing much better. So we're going to toss him up to number 1. I see a lot of upside in some tight end matchups. I also see a lot of variance in these tight end matchups as well. So I think there's a whole lot of risky plays this week. Travis Kelce going up against New England. Again, kind of a risky play. He's Travis Kelce. He's the guy. I'm still playing him. I still think he can be number 2. But again, high difference in terms of the floor and the ceiling. I rank these guys in terms of what I believe the upside could be. At number 2, Travis Kelce, obviously, every week, that type of upside. Jack Mother and Doyle at number 3. The dude just got paid. No Eric Ebron, right? We've got injuries across the board. Chester Rogers, T.Y. Hilton's been hurt. We do, again, get a running back this week in Marlon Mack. However, Jack Mother and Doyle has been fantastic over the last couple of weeks. Definitely having him in our lineup, a lot of upside for me this week. I think if there's anybody against Tampa Bay that gets a lot of that work, a lot of that passing from Jacoby Brissett, I think it is Doyle. George Kittle at number 4. Only reason I've got him a little bit lower is just because of A, the matchup, don't love it. B, George Kittle, the knee, is it still bothering him? What's he look like in those terms? So I'm just being careful with him there. I've got him just a little bit lower this week. But again, if you own him, you're probably playing him. So against New Orleans, could end up being an okay matchup for him. I still got him as a start, okay? I just don't love Jimmy Garoppolo this week. That would be why. Hunter Henry coming in at number 5. Again, the dude is just a monster. Yeah, he didn't have a great week last week, but it's one of the few blips on an otherwise really good season so far for him. Number 6, Darren Waller. Definitely some high upside play for him this week. I don't love Derek Carr this week, but I will take one of his number 1 options, Darren Waller, who got back to that volume last week. Let's see if they can continue that trend. Mark Andrews at number 7. Again, talking about this matchup quite a bit. This is a tough matchup going up against Buffalo, but Mark Andrews is the number 1 target for Lamar Jackson. You continue to play him. Even in a tough matchup, you continue to play him. Now, I would be willing to go with a Jack Doyle over Mark Andrews this week, and really any of those guys you see above him, maybe potentially Hooper or Rudolph if you want to be safer. But guys like McDonald, Smith, Griffin, Hollister, all the guys below him, no, not going to risk it. I will still run Andrews out there. Austin Hooper is back this week from his injury. Officially listed is going to be in the game this week for Atlanta. A much needed boost for them. I said it on the Start and Sit show, and I'll say it again. Austin Hooper has missed the last 3 weeks. Is still the tight end 4 in the season. That's just how god-awful this position has been all year long. Kyle Rudolph at number 9. The touchdown upside is there for him again this week against Detroit. You absolutely have to put Rudolph in there. Touchdowns in 4 straight games and 5 of the last 6. And it doesn't sound like we're going to get Adam Thielen back anytime soon. Continue to ride Kyle Rudolph. Vance McDonald at number 10 going up against Arizona. Again, life, death, taxes, and the Arizona Cardinals defense giving up fantasy points to opposing tight ends. They've had a couple of good games this week. I saw some comments in the comment section in my Start and Sit video about Vance McDonald. Not wanting to risk it. Probably could shut. It doesn't matter. A lot of people said the same thing about Tyler Higbee last week, okay? He ended up going off. A lot of people said the same thing about O.J. Howard a few weeks ago. He ended up scoring a touchdown. Vance McDonald just scoring at this point of the season is basically a top 10 play for you at tight end. If a tight end scores a touchdown, he's virtually a lock to be a tight end 1 right now. Vance McDonald has high upside at scoring just a touchdown. If he goes 1 for 1 for 1 for 1, 1 target, 1 reception, 1 yard, 1 touchdown, he's still probably going to be close to being a tight end 1. That's how bad the position is in. I will go ahead and play him this week. Definitely a streaming option for you. Jonnu Smith going up against Oakland. Talked about him a little bit when I brought up Ryan Tannehill. Loving that combination this week. Definitely rolling with Jonnu Smith. Going up against Oakland, giving up the 6th most fantasy points. Again, to quarterbacks and tight ends. The same for both. I was going to go Jacob Hollister. Completely skip over Ryan Griffin. I don't want to do that. Ryan Griffin, got to score a touchdown, man. You got to get into the end zone for him to be a start for me. But again, I'm going to put him there just because he has been finding the red zone, finding the end zone a little bit more frequently. Jacob Hollister at 13 continues to be a trusted target for Russell Wilson. That's why I've got him just right there. Just don't love the upside this week, but one of the plays that I love seeing last week in a crucial game against Minnesota, Jacob Hollister was looked at on a crucial third down play, made a really great catch, kind of over the shoulder, turning his back, jumping into the air. Really nice catch, but in those situations, they're looking to Jacob Hollister. That means that tight end position has been crucial for Russell Wilson this season. Dallas Goedert at number 14. I've said it in weeks past, and I'll say it again. The dude's got to score. He's got to score. If he doesn't score, he's not a start. So if you're feeling a little frisky this week and you want to get yourself some action with Dallas Goedert, you can feel more than welcome to, but don't be surprised if maybe he gets you 4-5 targets for 40 or 50 yards and that's it. He's got to score. If he scores, then absolutely he's in there. Tyler Higbee, going to throw him up there at 15, going up against Seattle. Seattle is giving up quite a few points to opposing quarterbacks, third most this year. So I'll run him back out there again with no Gerald Everett. I just don't see as high as a ceiling this week as I saw last week. Mike Gesicki, I mentioned his name here. I had him as a start this week. It means he's going to suck this week, okay? Because if I list Mike Gesicki as a start, he sucks. If I list him as a sit, he does really well and scores a touchdown. That's the way it's been all season long. That's just the way it's been. So for Gesicki, touchdown upside is what you're looking for. The dude has seen a lot of targets so far this season for the last several weeks. If you want to chase that volume, Mike Gesicki's the guy to chase it with. Evan Ingram at 17. This could really change. Not really moving him too much further right now because is it going to be split? Is he going to be worked back in right away? Yeah, maybe a little bit of a touchdown upside. Maybe he does make a connection with Eli Manning being back now. We'll see what happens. I'm being safe with it, especially if for some reason they end up saying, we're going to sit him down another week. Just being careful with it. More than likely as we get closer to Sunday, though, and I put in my final rankings for the week, Evan Ingram could get bumped a little bit. Jared Cook at number 18. He's been playing very well, but I hate Drew Brees this week. Do not love the matchup. I'm sitting Drew Brees. I am sitting Jared Cook. Yep, sure, 100% could blow up in my face, but I don't care. I'm playing the numbers. I'm playing the stats. I'm looking at the process here. It doesn't look good for these two this week. And at number 19, Benjamin Watson. I was having this conversation with a couple of other people a few minutes ago, and I referenced the movie Mean Girls, a cult classic from the 2000s. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. Some of you might be a little too young for it, but others, okay, Mean Girls, not really a bad movie. That's right. On the internet, I just said Mean Girls is not really that bad of a movie. Here's the thing, though. Benjamin Watson is my fetch. If you've seen Mean Girls, you know what I'm talking about in the scene where they yell at the other girl and they say, stop trying to make fetch happen. Fetch is not going to happen. Okay, that's what people are yelling at me right now. Kyle, stop trying to make Benjamin Watson a thing. Benjamin Watson is not going to happen. I get that 100%. However, they're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Over the last 4 weeks, they've given up the most fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends. I have Benjamin Watson listed as a sit this week, okay? I'm not going to get crazy like I did a couple of weeks ago. Headliner Nation, don't worry. I'm not off my rocker. I'm not going to be listing him as a start, but I've got him inside the top 20 because, quite honestly, he could score a touchdown this week. It could end up happening. Heck, in the week that I was so high on him against Dallas, he almost did score a touchdown. Tom Brady just threw it a little bit more back shoulder than what Benjamin Watson was ready for, and he couldn't get turned around. If he had caught that ball, he would have scored a touchdown. He would have been a hit. I would have looked like a freaking genius instead of looking like a moron, okay? I'm not going to go down that path again. Don't worry, Headliner Nation. I'm not losing my mind. Still going to list him as a start, or still going to list him as a sit. However, I'm not going to be shocked if he were to score a touchdown this week. And then Ian Thomas coming in at number 20. Greg Olsen out this week. However, last season when Olsen was out, Thomas didn't do a whole lot. He did have a couple of touchdowns at the end of the season. Did look a little bit better. However, I'm not really going to risk it this week. Like I said, there's some volatile options at tight end this week, but I think there's some decent streaming options I'd rather go with over a guy like Ian Thomas. So that's why I got him down at number 20. Headliner Nation, it's been fun. Appreciate you tuning into this video. Thanks so much for clicking the like button, because I'm just going to assume you did it. And thanks so much for subscribing, because I'm going to assume if you haven't already, you hit the subscribe button. And don't forget, Saturday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube. We are live. We live, people. That's right. The Fantasy Headliners live. We're going to be taking all of your start and sit questions. Going to hang out for a couple of hours. Have a really good time. Don't forget to tune in for that. Whether you're on a bye or missed the fantasy playoffs and you're still just here hanging around watching some content, join us tonight. Hang out and have a good time. Headliner Nation, thanks so much. I'll see you on the live show. Have a great day, and I'll catch you later.